Thank you for taking the time to speak with me today. My name is Patricia Gruver. I'm the Research and Innovation Attachée at the Quebec Government Office here in Boston. My main role is to facilitate research and technology partnerships between the US and Quebec. The things that you're working on are right up my alley, and I'm really interested to hear how you brought some of the expertise that you learned in Quebec to the US and how you're keeping those links between the US and Quebec going. What is your background, your research background, your academic background?
So my academic background, I did my bachelor in France in mathematics and computer science. And then I moved to Quebec for the master's degree. I did a master's degree at the University of Montreal in machine learning. And then I did a Ph.D. in University of Montreal as well, when I applied machine learning to bioinformatics, and more specifically to the study of the immune system.
What led you to choose your graduate degree at the University of Montreal?
Well, I heard a lot of good things about Montreal.
I think everyone has.
Yes, it was the first thing. And the second thing is Montreal already had a very, very interesting, especially the University of Montreal, had a very good lab in machine learning. Basically, that's what convinced me to go there.
So tell me about what kind of work you did before COVID, and then maybe we'll transition into what you're currently working on.
So before COVID, for my PhD, it's very linked to what I'm doing for COVID. So it's really in the straight line for my PhD. So I worked on what's called MHC1 associated peptides. So basically, you have when proteins are made, synthesized inside the cell, when they determine their life, they get degraded, and some of these small bits of protein, degraded means cut into small bits, will be presented to the surface of the cell. And what's really interesting about these peptides, we call them peptides, these small bits of proteins, is that it's what the immune system uses to identify a cell that has become cancerous or that has been infected by a virus. So when a cell gets infected by a virus, for example, SARS-CoV-2, that's behind COVID, the virus enters the cell and then uses the machinery of the cell to produce its own proteins. And then these viral proteins also get degraded, and some parts of them will get presented to the surface of the cell. And what's really interesting about these small sequences is that if you can predict them, you save months, if not years of research, and you can use them for example, to make a vaccine. So you could train your immune system in advance to identify cells that have been infected by SARS-CoV-2, even though you haven't been infected yet. That's the principle. So I worked on these before SARS-CoV, and then the virus came, and I've decided to apply to the virus.
Can you tell us a little bit more specifically about the project that you're doing on SARS-CoV-2 at the Broad, and what you're hoping to find with your research?
The project is not officially affiliated to the Broad. It's more a project that comes from my institute, the Allez, Institute of Research of Immunitaire Cancer, that's affiliated to the University of Montreal. So it's a direct line of this. At the Broad, I work on single-cell genomics, which is different. The idea is it's very simple. So when I saw the virus coming, it's an RNA virus, and the artificial neural network that I've developed works on mRNA. I had the idea of applying it, see what would happen if we applied this already trained neural network through the genome of the virus. And so I did that with my collaborators. We took the genome of the virus. It's available online, publicly available, and we applied it. We applied neural network to it. And to our surprise, we found that actually the patterns that we find in the normal human protein that actually produces MHC1 associated peptides, we find them also in SARS-CoV-2.
That's interesting.
So that suggests is that yes, there's something there. There's the same patterns. So what we did next is we've applied to SARS-CoV-1. So SARS-CoV-1 is the virus behind SARS-CoV, and there's a big homology between the two. So there are over 80% homology, I think, if I remember correctly, between the two viruses.
So this is the original SARS outbreak from like 2001, 2002.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
Exactly, that's the original one, yes. And what's really interesting is for SARS-CoV-1, we have a lot of data. So instead of waiting for data to come for SARS-CoV-2, we applied to SARS-CoV-1. And our preliminary results show that we can actually really predict the signature of peptides that are presented by the cells of people that have successfully fought off the infection. So now we are waiting for, so we have these positive results on SARS-CoV-1, and because there's a strong homology between SARS-CoV-1 and SARS-CoV-2, it suggests that actually can also be used for SARS-CoV-2. But we're waiting for results on SARS-CoV-2 for the final validation.
When you get the final results, what's the next step after that?
So work on it, like it's already an interesting scientific work that it works on SARS-CoV-1, but if it works on SARS-CoV-2, it's what it means is it could help speed up the discovery of a vaccine against SARS-CoV-2. But what's really interesting is that if this method really works the way we think it works, then we can use it for novel pandemics as well. If you have a new outbreak, you could use this method and find quickly the epitope of the peptide associated with the virus, and then move on for use that information for vaccines or making antibodies, things like that, which usually take a lot of time. It really speed up the process, the drug discovery process. The project has a website. It's called epitopes.world. So it's EPITOPES.world, like the world.
.world, okay.
It's basically, so the idea is, what we decided to do with my collaborators is to create a platform and just publish these results for free, like freely available before anything, so people can start working on them. So if you go on this platform, you can download the paper on their neural network. You can download all the data on SARS-CoV-1, SARS-CoV-2, the prediction for the network for SARS-CoV-1, SARS-CoV-2, and also the normal human baseline. So researchers can really start working with this data as soon as possible.
In terms of like research partnerships, like what exactly are you looking for?
Yeah, AI would be interesting from a general perspective, because we have the presentation of these peptides is actually like a multi-step process. So we are working on the first step, but there's also different steps, and there are other networks that can be used for the different steps. But I mean, if we can connect with these people, or people working on the same subject, I think it can really help up the development, especially that we've made a platform so that we can publish data from other groups as well. The big perspective is not to have just our network on this, but to have all the relevant AI technology that people can just use with a user-friendly interface, so that researchers can really start working without wasting time, basically different writing scripts and trying to put everything together. So we put everything together for them. So we develop the AI and we put everything together for them on a single platform. So this is basically the idea. If you could connect us with people working on the same subject on AI, we can integrate everything into the same platform. Mass spectrometry would be the ideal, but because if we have someone that has sequenced these peptides using mass spectrometry, then we can directly validate. So if anyone has a plan of doing a mass spectrometry analysis of what we call the immunopeptidome of SARS-CoV-2, that would be extremely useful to us. Extremely useful.
So my final question is going to be in French for our francophone viewers. Quelles sont les choses au Québec qui vous manquent le plus?
Je dirais l'été à Montréal. J'adore l'été à Montréal. J'adore l'été à Montréal. Il y a quelque chose de l'hiver est tellement long que c'est quelque chose de vraiment extraordinaire. Avec les festivals, les gens sont différents, les gens sourient. C'est pas un été comme ailleurs. Ouais. C'est ça que je veux dire. L'été à Montréal est vraiment, vraiment extrêmement agréable.
Ouais, c'est ça. Oui. Donc, merci beaucoup